Good evening. Welcome once again to McCrae's Keep. Tonight we will be again working in Blender and continuing work on our Critical Role figures, our renditions of these figures and these characters. Tonight we're going to be working on Ashton Greymore, the Earth Genasi Barbarian. Again, if you want to see the original art that we're basing our version on, you can head over to belloflostsouls.com. They have information about all the characters in Campaign 3, and we're doing our best to faithfully represent those. Tonight, our figure we created at eldritchfoundry.com, and we are going to paint them up and see what we can come up with. One difference from the last figure we were working on, which was Fresh Cut Grass, because this figure we got from Eldritch Foundry, they make their models a little bit different, kind of behind the scenes in how things are structured. And it comes down to, in Hero Forge, every part of the figure is one mesh or kind of one piece. And that means we have to get in and we have to segregate and be very careful about how we select things, how we color things. But with the way Eldritch Foundry does them, we can do things much quicker because their figures are not just a single mesh or a single surface that is shaped into the shape of the character. All of the different parts of the character are different individual meshes, and that makes selecting them out and isolating them for painting much, much easier. And I will show you exactly what that means as we get going here. So we have our figure that we created over there at Eldritch Foundry earlier, and we're gonna get in here and start painting them right away. So what I mean by having multiple meshes is normally we would be selecting out, we'll start with the hair here, we would be selecting using our circle selector, and we would be going and doing all of this, and when we got down here we'd be going right along the edge like this, and as I'm about to show you here, we don't have to do that at all. So we're going to select nothing. Then we're going to select just any part of this. Any teeny tiny little part, we'll select one little triangle. And then we'll go out of select mode. We can go into the select menu and we can do select link or Control L, which makes it even easier. And that is going to select the entire mesh. And again, if you do this with a Hero Forge model, you're going to see that you select the entire model because, as I said, the model itself is one mesh. There's really no technical difference that I know of in the STL files when it comes to 3D printing. I don't know that there's an advantage of one over the other. This just happens to be a happy coincidence for what we're doing, in that we have to select each individual chunk of the model for coloring. This makes it much, much easier. Any of you who've seen us go and do some selecting on some of these more complex shapes, you can see that what I did right there probably would have taken close to an hour to do all of this. Well, maybe not an hour, but it would have taken a good chunk of time, 15-20 minutes, I'd say at least, to get all of this border selected here without getting any of the head. And so it's very nice. And we're going to take a look at what this means. And if we go inside the head of the figure here, you're going to see a couple of things that's pretty interesting that shows you exactly what I mean by this. So there, up there, you can see the hair mesh. On the inside of the head, it actually has shape. Basically, the hair is a complete shape in and of itself. It just happens to intersect with the head in a way that it appears to be connected. And that's fantastic. And we're going to turn around here and look at the front of this, and you're going to see even more examples of that. You can see here, as you might guess, these are the eyes. And they are actual eyeballs. And so they just happen to be placed right at a spot in the face where part of the eye is visible. And you can see the same thing here with the eyebrows and everything. So again, it makes selecting the various parts of the model very easier. And we're just going to go ahead and color this right away. And this is going to be here 01, and again I'm just referring to the artwork on Bell of Lost Souls, and there we see that he has purple hair, and it's in the picture it's almost crystalline. Unfortunately, we didn't really have that option with regard to that when we built the model. When we built the figure, but we're going to do our best to represent that and make his hair purple here. We did a kind of a spiky mohawk, which could certainly be construed as kind of crystalline. And let's assign that and deselect. And hair done. Let's do another even more kind of dramatic example here, and let's do the skin, which again is going to be a different kind of weird skin tone color. We're going to again. You can select any amount of stuff. You can do this. You can do a single triangle. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to do the keystroke, the key shortcut here, Control L, and boom. We got his entire head has been selected. Now you can see here his chest and neck are an additional mesh. We're going to go ahead and we're going to grab that, and then we're going to do the same thing, Control L. And not only, look at that, not only did we get his chest here, but we got his hands, his arms, and you can see some of his skin actually coming through the model here. You don't have to worry about that. If anything does show up through the model at some point, you can always come in here and just deselect. Again, that's your middle mouse button. Most of the stuff I've found does not even come through, but you can see the deformation here in the bottom of his leg. That's where the pants cover the leg, but in the creation of the model, you see a little bit of the leg coming through the pants. But again, this is very, very minor stuff considering what it would have taken before to select out all this skin. And again, we've got some other stuff here. And as you get closer to some of this stuff, you can see that it isn't even really a factor. And for anything that does become a factor, you just go and again, we go into select mode by clicking C, and we can then use our mouse wheel to change the size of our selector. And then you can just use the center mouse button or the mouse wheel button to deselect that. We can even, if we wanted to get real crazy here, we can just go into wireframe mode here, and you can see all of the skin of his body that's been selected. And what we're seeing here is these are the exposed areas, and it actually makes a lot of sense. There is skin under his pants, in his boots, and all of that sort of thing. It's just that we don't see it. So what we're going to do with this, just so we don't get any of that, kind of burn through, we're just going to go and deselect all of this stuff here. And we just got to make sure that we're not going to get anything that's visible. And that just makes it a lot easier for us. And you can see if we've got a little bit more up here in his shirt. But again, a lot of this stuff, it's really kind of ethereal, and there's not really a lot to it. But just to make sure that we're not getting any of that. Like I said, I call it burn through. I don't know if that's the proper technical term, but we'll get rid of that. We'll come back around here. And let's go back here, make sure that we haven't done anything silly. Oh, it looks like his ears are again different mesh. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to select those right away and add them to our skin. And I'm going to do Control L to select linked. Oh, and I think we might have reselected all of our, well, maybe not. Do this, Control L. And we did select a bunch of our skin again. So we're going to let's make sure we've got everything selected here that we want. And again, we've got something in his head that's showing through there, but I don't think that's going to be a factor. All right. So let's go into our wireframe view again. And again, we're just going to deselect all this stuff. Again, center mouse button, not the left button. And for those of you who have seen any of the videos or watched any of the former streams, you can attest to how much quicker this process is than going through and trying to paint the skin that is actually exposed. So let's see what we got going on here now. This looks pretty good. Okay, so let's pick a skin color here. And again, for those of you not familiar, we have to use what are called shader nodes here to do our coloring. We are exporting to a format called X3D or Extensible 3D, which is an XML-based format that we use at McCrae's Keep for our 3D/VR models. And we have some limitations with regard to what we can get out of Blender. And one of those is we have to use shader nodes, which limits kind of the types of colors and effects that we can do. Although, again, for just kind of basic figure painting and painting of other models like chests and chairs and bookcases and walls and things like that, this provides plenty of flexibility. We don't want any specularity because that is shininess. The roughness has really, it has a lot of effect on how things look in Blender, so we're going to put it up here because it matters how things look when we're selecting, but that does not come across. The things that we're looking for here are the specularity and the actual color. And if I'm referring to my picture here, it's kind of a weird greenish blue kind of color. Very strange, very strange. Almost a cyan, a little darker. Yeah, maybe not that dark. And let's try that. Now that might be a little too green, so we're going to bring this back down this way a little bit and bring this up a little bit. All right. And so let's save this. I like to save as we go here, just in case. And as long as we're doing the face here, let's do his eyebrows again. Just select any amount. I'm going to select some over here and then Control L. Boink. It makes me laugh every time. It's so much easier. And for this, let's, even though I think we'll kind of get it close to the hair color, I think it's in the picture it looks a little bit darker. So we're just going to do we're going to do very dark purple here because we want it almost black in this case. And then, as long as we're here, we're going to grab his eyes. And remember when we were peeking inside his skull there, we noticed that these eyes are just they're complete spheres. And so we can just do that and select our eyes. Can't really tell from the picture here what color his eyes are, but we're just going to go ahead and have them be a pretty standard kind of white eye with yeah, I can't really tell. Looks almost blue. Okay, that's fine. And we know he's got a very unique feature on his skull. We're going to take care of that last. So if you're wondering about that, he's almost got an open part of his skull which shows some more crystalline structure on the inside. And we're going to get there. But we're not going to do that just yet. Actually, when I'm looking at this, I think I want this hair to be a bit brighter. There we go. But for the eyes, we're just going to go. We're going to go standard white for the majority of it. And we're going to have a little specularity in his eyes. People's eyes are generally more wet, and so we want to reflect that with some specularity. And then we're going to, now once you get into, as I mentioned, the eyeballs are their own objects or their own meshes. But if we're going to do detail work on the mesh, then we do have to get back to kind of our old way of selecting, and that's certainly no problem for any of this. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna move over here. We're gonna do this right away. I like to keep these things kind of sorted and arranged. This is going to be eyes 2. And like I said, from the picture, as far as I can tell, it's kind of just blue eyes. So let's try something like that. A little lighter, maybe. And then let's make some pupils. I think we'll just keep them pretty small. And again, I just number things. You could name these things iris and pupil and sclera and all that kind of stuff. However you want to do that. This is just I'm kind of a digital kind of head guy, and so I just like to number things. And this we're just gonna make black, and there we go. Now we may come back. I like to highlight around the eyes a little bit. This model actually has some really, really nice texture around here, and I don't know that we're even going to need to do that at all. But for now, I think that's good. We can always come back and do a little fine tuning. So let's get into Ashton Greymore's clothing here. It looks like we've got a combination of black and red that we're going to be using for his vest. The highlight on the vest, and again, I think some of these things will be parts of the mesh that we're going to have to do individually. We've got a vest kind of under the vest, or a shirt under the vest. Looks like we'll call this a belt. He's got a number of belts and buckles and things like that in the original artwork, which works. Most of this stuff's going to be red with black highlights. So why don't we start? Let's start from the bottom here. Let's start with his pants. We're going to do his boots. And again, before we do any of that, we're just going to do the stage real quick. So let's do this. And I know that this stage, I'll show you, this stage is actually two meshes. You can see that they've got this top and then this bottom piece. That's two pieces that are situated to look as one. So if we just do Control L here, it's going to grab that top one, and then we can grab a piece of the bottom one, Control L again, and now we have the entire stage. And because we have such a nice way of selecting things, we don't even, as you saw with some of the other figures, we like to isolate this, separate it from the figure. That way we can turn it off. And we may do that, but because things are so much easier to select this way, with everything being its own like mini mesh or part of a sub mesh, if you will, we don't even usually have to do that. So we're going to add this. And again, some people may say, well, his eyes are black. They're just black. Why don't you, if you're going to color the stage black, which I'm about to, you might, well, why don't you just assign that to that? And the reason I don't do that is because not only are these colors, not only do these represent color assignments, but if we want to reselect a part of the model, and here, and I'll show you in just a second. So we don't want any specularity on this. And again, this roughness setting is just for in Blender. I just want just a flat black. So I'm going to deselect that. So now if I want to reselect his pupils for some reason, I don't want to select, even though they're the same color, I don't want to, when I do that, you can see they're selected now. I don't necessarily want that to select the stage, and vice versa. If I want to deselect the eyes and I want to select the base, oops, for the stage, I don't necessarily want to select the eyes. So even though things are the same color, I tend to put them in their own slot, and that way it gives you just a lot more flexibility down the road. Because sometimes you just want to select something, either to separate it from the model or to recolor it or do something like that. And there's really no downside to having more granularity here. So let's deselect that. Save our work. Again, I'm kind of a paranoid when it comes to saving things, although I will say this, Blender has been insanely stable, knock on wood. And I haven't lost any work or even come close to losing anything, so that's a good thing. All right, so let's do his pants here, and they're going to be red, and I'm interested to see here what part of the models are pants and what are. So look at that, it's perfect. Just grabbed his entire pants there. And again, it looks like we've got a little bit, of his leg coming through here, and that's fine. We're just going to go and we'll just manually select this, and that way we don't get any of that kind of what I call burn through before. And we can always see if we've got something here, we can do that. Looks like that's not even, yeah, we get up close and it's not even a thing. Here we've got some burn through right here we're going to grab. And all this stuff, again, you may say, well, look at there's, imperfections in the model and things like that. And, again, remember, we're kind of co-opting the STL file format or the stereolithography file format, which is meant for 3D printing. and we're not really using it for 3D printing. We're using it for kind of something else here. So in 3D printing, none of this would even come close to mattering. And even for our application, none of it really matters. And again, deselecting a couple of things that are kind of showing through, much easier than going through and having to select all this stuff as opposed to just clicking Control L. Okay, so let's do pants. Again, don't really want any specularity on the clothing, even though in the art it kind of looks like it might be kind of old school flight pants for those of you who remember that. But I don't think we're gonna go there. We want red. We want to be a little bit darker red, and we'll assign that. And we can get a little bit better idea of our color here. All right. So let's get into some boot action here. So let's, we'll grab a couple of different parts of these boots. It looks like they're mostly black with some leather for the straps and maybe a buckle. We'll see about making this a metallic buckle. We'll see. Let's grab one of this and one of this because those represent the same parts of the two boots. And there we go. Yeah, as you can see, we got a little bit of burn through there, but again, nothing I am going to cry foul over. Get rid of that. I think we've got a similar situation over here. No worries. Again, middle mouse button to deselect, or mouse wheel button if that's what you're using, like me. And again, you can see, oh, looks like there's some burn through, but these are some visual anomalies from Blender. So these boots are going to be just kind of a dark grayish, blackish. So let's go. And dark gray and black are pretty easy for us to do. Again, no specularity, please. Assign, deselect. There we go, black boots. I think we're just going to lighten these up just a touch because they are, I don't want them to blend too much into the base, which here it's kind of hard to tell, but so let's grab these boot tops now. Click some of that, and let's do our favorite keystroke in the world, Control L, and there we go. So this is just kind of the same part of the boot. We're going to make it a slightly lighter gray, so it's offset a little bit. No, thank you. And for those of you who have watched other streams, we were using this metallic setting. The metallic setting is not something that comes through on the X3D export. The specular controls what's called shininess in X3D. And so this is what we want. When we want something to reflect light, have a shiny look to it, a metallic look, if you will, then we want to up the specularity. But for right now, these are kind of leather boots, and we don't want any kind of shininess on them. So let's do this. All right. And then we have some color in here, so we're going to grab this and did we grab these, or is this the... Okay, so let's, oops, bots, yikes. So we select this, it's just the tops, deselect, and this part, select. Oh, that represents all of this, okay. I think what we are going to do here, let's deselect this. And let's grab this thing. I don't know what that is. Maybe that represents all of this stuff that's kind of, I don't know if we'd call that a sock or whatever, excuse me, is in the boot. Okay, and this we're definitely going to make kind of like a leather brownish color for a strap or something like that. Again, don't get too caught up in trying to suss out exactly what everything is. These models are, just kind of made to be models. They're not necessarily, oh, what is that? Is it his sock? Is it his leg? Is it his pants tucked in there? Paint it the way you want it to look. It's no big deal. So what we're going to do here, I want to get based on, we're trying to honor the original image a little bit. So what I want to do is I want to get some leather type straps looking here. So we're going to start with this. Okay. And then I think what we're going to do here to kind of keep our red going, I suspect that this is all going to be the same thing here. So Control L. Okay, and these are kind of, I guess, if you want to think of it as socks or part of his pants. I'm going to call it part of his pants. And I want some more red. So I am going to call this, I'm going to classify this part of the boots. This is going to be boots 04. And we are going to have a darker red here. All right. And then we are going to do a little bit of how much of this? Oops, I didn't want to do that. Okay. And get yourself in select and deselect hell here. Okay, these straps here, I don't want to be the same as the rest. So boots 01 here, if we select that, you can see that not only is it the boot proper, but it's got these cross straps here that it's also doing. And I want to isolate these straps out. So we're going to do that the old-fashioned way. So we're going to deselect that. We're going to save our changes. And let's get in here, and we can see that we've got yeah, all right. And it kind of hurts going back to the old way of doing things once you're doing things so easy with just click, zip. But we're going to do this right, and if we've got to do some individual selecting here, so be it. We've got nice, easy edges that are defined here. Get zoomed in a little bit here, and we're just going to zoop, zoop. And I found that if I do a speed run on these Eldritch Foundry models, I can actually get a figure painted in about a half an hour or less. Not counting any kind of, real fine tuning that I want to do after the fact, if any. And again, that's kind of dependent on the application of the figure in question. If I'm doing, if I want to do, half a dozen goblin figures for an encounter I'm working on, I may not be too terribly concerned about all the finer details of how these of how I'm painting them, and I just kind of want to do them a little more quick and dirty. Whereas if I'm doing a final boss or a player character figure, I might want to take some more time and do some of this finer detail stuff like we're doing here. So, but it's really nice when you can spend 20 or 30 minutes on a figure as opposed to 6-7 hours. Not that I don't enjoy the painting process, but if you want to be productive, if you're feeling or needing to be more productive versus more, scratching that art itch, that creative itch, you have the option of going both ways with these figures or these models. All right. And we are even going to do, as long as we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. And we're going to grab this inset area here because it's clearly part of this strap. Okay. And then we're going to go over here. And here we've got a little fuzziness, but that's okay. We'll just do our best and select out what we want here. When I mean fuzziness, we don't really have a hard edge right here, but we do have a pretty nice curve to follow. And so I think what we're going to do, we can either do it like this, or we could come out one to there. Let's start like this and see how it looks. All right, so that's one of 6 straps that we're going to do here. So let's, we're going to use the same Boots 03 color here. Why is this so shiny? We don't want that shiny. And we're just going to assign this. Yoink, there we go. Deselect that. So this looks much better now. than just having these straps be the same as the boot itself, including having the little brown leather type color poking through here. So we'll do these other two real quick. Am I getting, no, looks pretty good. Should just zoom in a little like that. Okay. Yeah. Whoa. Oh, we're making good progress here. I think after these boots are done, we'll just start moving up the model. We'll do this kind of lower part of the cape, or I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I usually like to get kind of my close edges done first, and then do the kind of more wide open areas. I think I'm going up on that there. Oh boy, am I being inconsistent here? I am. Phooey. What did we do on the top one? There was no angle there. So I guess it's not that big a deal. I'm actually going to get rid of this stuff though. Again, not critical. Nobody will ever know the difference of whether I chose that row or not, or this row over here or not. But I do like to be consistent, and I guess it's, as you've heard me say, just kind of part of the OCD in me. And you may say, well, that leaves this here, and that's true enough. But again, it's not something where it's not like a blatant miss. It's just a design choice or a choice, a creative choice. So we're going to be consistent. We're going to let it go, and we're going to move on with our lives. Something like this, missing it, again, very fine detail. Chances of that being noticeable in the final product are just about zero. But to me, that's different than saying, I'm going to make a conscious choice to pick this part of the model versus that. Oops, and we forgot to get the outer part of this. And again, this one, yeah, we did. Just going to define this line here, again, for consistency's sake. And that leads us here, and here, here. And then down here it becomes more defined on this right-hand side here. Okay. And again here, this is our line on the left. Okay, so his left boot is done. I'm going to save here. And we can go over and do this other one. We could even do something, you can see the sole around here. We could do something with that. As a matter of fact, let's take a closer look at this actually. Let's go inside the base. And you can see that this is the sole of the shoe. It comes down into the base. So I think we might take a closer look at that here when we're done with these straps. Okay, so let's be a little more systematic about it this time. I'm going to get all of these little grooves on the outside here first. Uh-oh. No. We got a little overspray here. Whoa. Jumping all over the place here. And we got some on the vertical here. Okay, let's just assign that right away. Be done with that part of it. I think that's a similar line over here that we took on the other side. And we're just cranking right along here. Have these boots done in no time. And just a second here when I'm done with this one. Just got to go do a cat adjustment. I have a cat who has a tendency to do strange things when he's sleeping, including falling off of the back of chairs that he happens to be sleeping on. So let's assign that. And we've got our 3 interior straps here. I'm going to save this and I will be right back. And we're back. So we've got our 3 interior straps to do here. And we will be done with the boots. Oh, look at that. We missed part of the sock here. Well, we are going to take care of that as long as we have nothing selected right now. That is. Okay. And another thing that we could do if we needed or wanted to for one use case or another, because these elements of the model are so easy to select out, we can separate them from the complete model and turn them off as you've seen, as we've done with the stages in other models. And being able to easily select these things makes that process much easier too. But the fact that these things are so easy to paint, the detail work we're doing right now notwithstanding, that precludes the need to do that a lot of the times. As you see, I haven't turned the stage off yet because I really haven't had to, not doing any work down and about that stage is getting in the way of. But we certainly could if we need to. And don't be afraid to get upside down with your model. Whatever works, whatever gives you that vantage point that allows you to work the most efficient manner. Apologize for my clock. 8 o'clock here in Wisconsin. on what is a windy but warm December day. Oops. Oh. Can I Control C that, please? Thank you. Whew. I had the wrong thing selected when I assigned. There we go. That's better. Whew. Well, not that big a deal, but let's see. This goes around the corner there a little bit. And just about to wrap up our boot project. I'll get that little corner in a second. All right. One more. And then for contrast, we'll leave this at that color. Sorry, OCD alert. All right, I feel better. All right, much, much better on boots as far as I'm concerned. And we may come down here and do this buckle. We'll see. But let's, at this point, save this. Little chair adjustment here. And let's take a look at kind of the flowing down area, the lower area of his coat or cape or something. So let's do this. Let's see what we can see. Let's do that. Let's do Control L. Okay, so each of these segments is its own mesh. That's great. So let's just go click and let's go over here. Click and click. Again, it doesn't matter how much you click. The Control L selects linked. Anything that's linked to the selection, so what you have selected there really is fairly irrelevant. We're going to go ahead and grab this because it's bleed through probably the, I don't know, pants or the belt or maybe the shirt, something like that. And we're going to grab that. And let's take a look around here. We got a little bit of that up here. You can see his pouch here is kind of intersecting with what we're doing here, but that is what it is. And there's not a lot we're going to do about that. Yeah, and these are actually different pieces, so we are seeing pants through there. That's absolutely fine. Now this, again, there's just really a lot of red, a lot of black. So let's go ahead and do, we're just going to call this Pantso 2. And we are going to make this red again because that's what he's wearing. And let's try to get this a little different. Stand out from the pants there. And we're going to go ahead now and do, we're going to grab this kind of hem area on all of these and the outer edge here. And we're going to do that. We're going to do that in black to just add some contrast, some highlight here. And again, this is going to be a little bit of detail work because it's all part of this one mesh, but I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. So what we can do here is we can do kind of a really cool thing. And I'm going to deselect some of this. So let's get ourselves established a line coming down here. And I'm going to show you another cool way to select things. And what I'm looking to do is establish a good solid line down the middle here. Now it's easier said than done, but And let's stop right there for now. Okay, so we're going to get out of select mode. And because we don't care, because a lot of this part of this mesh is inside the pants, we're going to use another select here, and it's the select more. So if we do Control plus, we can select more and a little more and a little more. And you can see we're creeping up towards this crease here, which is where we want to be. We just got to watch on this side, Control more there, and this is going to save us a lot of time. Plus, 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 and let's minus, minus. Okay, so here we're going to zoom in here and take a look at this edge here. And where do we want this edge to be? I think this is what we want here. So we're going to run this up like this. And that comes right around here. And we're going to run this down this way. And that saves us a bunch of time there. Okay, and let's take a look at this line down here. Make sure we didn't do anything super crazy. Okay, so I don't think we want any of this. So we're going to deselect here. The question is, I think we do want this. Then we're going to take all of this bottom here. Again, this is a lot of detail that we're going to on this model. But again, if I were doing kind of the army of cannon fodder, would I be doing this? Probably not. But because this is you know, a PC a player character figure, and especially one that we would like to look nice, because it's representing you know, Critical Role, we certainly want to put a little extra effort into the details. And we're getting paid by the hour, so to speak, so not really, but all right. So let's continue up the other side here. And because we've got the the hem part of the this other, whoops, I did it again. We don't have to be very careful right here. So we're just going to kind of grab right up here, back down a little bit. And up here, we'll fine tune this in just a second. Okay. Okay, we'll figure out exactly where we're going to go in there in a second. Okay, and I got to be careful. I got pants back here I don't want to get, so I'm going to just pivot this so they're not visible. Again, if it's not visible, you're not selecting it. Again, see pants, don't want that. We can always come through. We'll check for overspray too when we get there. So let's clean that up. Let's zoom in here a little bit. And see exactly, I think this is our line. And here you can see one of the, why you would want a larger select circle, again, with nothing on the top side of the circle to worry about. I can use the left side of that circle there to be very precise with my clicks while catching everything else up above. And now I don't need quite that much. I like to keep my selector small to the point, make sure it's doing everything I want it to do, but then you just kind of got to be a little bit careful when you get up close and personal with something on the other side of it. Alrighty. And you could get pretty crazy with this painting, these undersides here, different color, even to really bring out some highlight. And we may or may not do that as we go, but we're going to kind of go one step at a time here. See how things look, and then decide if more detail, if more finery, if more fine work is called for at that point. And this is interesting. So, what we're going to do here, do this, and then jump that like that. So we could certainly run up the very middle of that trench if we want to, and we may. But for right now, I want to get the brunt of this done. And you can always look for areas, like you said, when there's nothing, like I said, when there's nothing kind of behind you here, you can then don't have to worry about being neat, and that always speed things up. But you see over here, we've got stuff behind it, so we can't be like that, but over here we don't. And you can always look to rotate your model or move your model around a little bit. See right here. And we can save a little time here. Now we got to be more into careful mode. And got to look at this inside edge here. Here I want to get to, like I said, just about as big as I can get. See, I'm over on this bottom side over here, so I don't want to be too close because I just want to be able to position that, click, and get a goodly chunk of what I need to get without having to worry about overspraying onto the boots there. And then we're going to move up a little and just continue that process. See, again here I can make this huge. I've got nothing over here to worry about. And that way, with every click here, I get the whole 9 yards. Okay, now we've got another surface here I've got to be a little bit careful of. So I'm just going to dial this down to something a little more reasonable. All right, so how are we looking here? I think we're pretty good on this one. So why don't we do, let's get this out of the way. And this is going to be Oh, we're still going to call it part of the pants. And this is going to be, again, this is going to be red, but basically black. To offset what we're working on. And so let's save this. That was a decent amount of labor. Okay, so let's try our original technique again with our select more. The question is, where do we want to run that line? I don't know. Maybe right along this edge. So well, thank you for your contribution, Dexter. And my cat is thinking he's entitled to some food at this point. Which you're early. Not yet, mister. Yeah, I hear ya. We are going to go to the start of the CR stream for tonight, and then tomorrow we'll be back to work on this some more. All right, so let's look at our little stripe here. So let's start doing our Control Plus here. Make sure nothing awful is happening back here, not yet. But I think we've got one more, maybe two, plus, plus. And how did that do for us up here? Well, it did a pretty good job. That saves us a lot of clicking. So why don't we then come up here and I think this is our line. Right? Yeah. Just trying to get as much as this on the screen so we can click, click, clickety click. And with our circle this size, we can do everything with a single click till we get up here. All right, so we're just going to assign that right away. And the reason we're going to do that, we don't want to leave this selected because I want to do the select more trick over on the other side here on this one. And if this is still selected, then it's going to start selecting more. So we just assign it and we deselect it. And now that one's set. And we can save. I hear you. It's not time yet. All right. So let's do this again. And this time, let's try to run our line a little bit. I think we're going to try this line here. And we'll see how good a guess we made here and if we made less or more work for ourselves once we get our control, our select more, or control plus on. Yeah, I hear you, Dexter. All right, let's see how this works. Yeah. I would much rather not have to select up here, which is, it looks like we're pretty good here. I think we got one more. See how these corners look? Perfect. Exactly what I wanted. Okay, this I'm gonna undo. Here, perfect. Excellent. Okay, and then these are much easier to do than the other side. Sweet. Whoa. And that went much, much quicker than the other side. Okay, so let's assign that. Excellent, excellent. So let's save this. And we got time for a couple more things. We're going to knock off when the CR stream starts. So let's grab this pouch here. Okay, and let's grab the other side of the pouch here, and here, and here. There we go. And what does this look like? We're gonna just make sure we get all of that. And this is gonna be let's make this dark. Excellent. So let's see what this belt looks like when we select it. Perfect. That's excellent. Saves so much time. Yeah, very dark belt. All right. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go with He's got a weird looking kind of shirt, kind of vest, kind of red and black thing. We've got two things here. We've got this kind of shirt vest and then this kind of over vest here. Question is, well, we don't have to decide on colors right now. So let's grab this. This is going to be, I imagine we'll experiment with a couple of options here. And so we're going to start with this being the black part. And then here, I'm going to do this. Control plus, adding more. Excellent. Okay. This we will make now this we're going to want to be kind of a goldish. So we want the specularity up on that. So it's nice and shiny when it gets into X3D. And then our vest here, see, excellent. So the buckles are separated out and this shoulder piece, excellent. So we've got some good options for contrast here. We're probably going to select out these sleeves or sleeve areas here. So this, I think we're going to and this is going to be flat out red. All right. And then this part of it. Oh, and that's nice. Oh, so good. See how we don't have to separately select this piping along here. So that's awesome. So what we're going to do here, I think we're going to do this. And this, I think we're going to do a darker red, but not too dark. That's too close to the other one. How about darker? And then what I want to do with this I want to be really, really bright red. And again, as we'll play with probably tomorrow, we'll alter these colors because once they're assigned like this, it's super easy to switch them around and do different things here. this one, we're going to add a little bit of specularity there just to make it stand out. We still want this to be brighter yet. And look how easy that is to do that with these models. It's just gorgeous. So at this point, we've got to do his gauntlets. I guess we could just do those right away because they're going to be pretty easy. The gauntlets and the laces. So let's do... So we'll do this. And then let's grab these laces. And just to make sure, I'm just going to click on each one of them. That way we make sure we get it all. This I want to be a lighter tannish. There we go. So I think we're going to wrap it up here. So tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to finish up his vest. We've got some buckles here that are going to be probably some metallic and some leather and some metallic over here. We've got another, we might as well do this. And I think, let's do a couple of things here. This is going to be vest. Sign, take care of that bleed through. We're going to grab this. I think we're going to not do that. But we are going to grab this. See what this looks like over here. It looks much cleaner over here. But we're going to do it the same vest 3. There we go. And we've got a little more bleed here. Let's clean this up. Some here. See about anywhere else along here. We got something there to clean up. Whoa, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Well, we could get in there and clean that up. We will take a look at that. So we've got this. Yeah. So it's going to be finishing the vest. Obviously, his weapon will do his fingernails. And then we're going to take a look at his cranium. And I have some definite ideas for doing that. We're going to have to get a little jiggy with Blender, but that's okay. That's what we're here for. Not bad. Not bad for, well, not even 2 hours worth of work. And again, we got some finer details on the boots along the edges of his little flowing cape, shirt, pants part. Otherwise, we could have got that stuff done quite a bit sooner, but that's okay. Again, this is a model that is worthy of some extra detail. We could even do things like, in here, we could highlight that dark or light. Same thing over here. There's more we could do on his boots. As I said, we may want to color those soles something a little different. We could add some highlight to the pants. They've got kind of a innate stripe built in there in the model. We could bring that out if we really wanted to. But overall, very happy with what's going on here. Tomorrow we will finish him up and we will get him into the site. Again, we've got Imogen is in the scene and FCG is in the scene, and now we've got to get Ashton into the scene too. And we will continue on. Not sure who we're going to do next, but we will see. We will see. So again, please, if you enjoyed yourself, please follow. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. That would be helpful. And keep an eye on the schedule. We generally stream every night between 7 and 9 p.m. Central Time, and with some exceptions here and there, but generally we do. Check us out on social media. We're at McCrae's Keep pretty much everywhere. Probably most active on Twitter if you want to keep up with what's going on, stream schedules, schedule adjustments, other things that we're working on. That would probably be your best bet. But for now, thank you so much for watching.